WNHHLP 103.5 FM, New Haven's home for community radio. I'm Mubarakah Ibrahim, and this is Mornings with Mubarakah, where we talk about national issues from a local level through a lens of diversity. We are hyper-local radio, streaming live from the Beaver Hill section of New Haven, Connecticut. And joining me today, we have all the answers to your questions about the tax stimulus that's about to go down with an expert, Christina Elliot. Thank you for joining me, Christina.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I just did a local one yesterday too, and so much information people did not know. And
yes, it is very confusing because because it's changing so much every day, and we are more in tune to the news. So whereas before somebody might watch the news and in a week it's pretty much the same, but because you're watching it every day, it just seems like it's constantly switching and changing. So
and that's exactly what's happening too.
When you are, for our audience, I want to just give you a couple reminders. You are watching this or listening to it. We are on 103.5 FM, New Haven's home for community radio, on your radio dial in New Haven, Connecticut, or you can catch us on Facebook, Periscope, Stream Me, TuneIn Radio, or newhavenindependent.org. Remember, this and all of our previous radio shows are archived on the WNHH iTunes, SoundCloud, iTunes and SoundCloud. So you can always go back and catch the show there if you missed any of it. So today we are talking to Christina Elliot, who is the owner of BEM Financial Services. She's been a tax professional for over 15 years. She is registered on the IRS Directory of Tax Return Preparers with an AFSP certification and is currently testing to become EA certified, which will allow her to fight for her clients who are facing IRS claims. So here we are in the middle of a pandemic that is not just a health pandemic, but it is also an economic pandemic because of the need to self-quarantine, to shut down stores, to shut down jobs, to prevent the COVID-19 virus from expanding beyond where it has already expanded. We're already in kind of crisis mode. It has created a huge economic impact for us. So it's not just about the immediate health. Of course, that is all of our concern, but what is the long-term impact of finances that will eventually affect people's health? So the effect of it is a ripple effect. In response, the United States government has passed the biggest stimulus package they have ever passed in history. Now, we may remember back in, I think it was 2008, where there was the financial crisis with the banks and housing, and there was a stimulus package passed back then. This one supersedes that, partly because, from my understanding, we have more people who are unemployed today than in history. We have had unprecedented job closures and people filing for unemployment, people not being able to work, and not even that the jobs are not available. People literally cannot leave their houses to work, and so that puts them in really hard financial strains. So this is a $2 trillion package. That just seems like so astronomically high, but for good reason, because it's for both big businesses, small businesses, and individuals. So first, explain to us what does that mean for the average person? Everybody's like, I'm gonna get a check. Are we gonna actually get a check? That's the first and most important. Do we get free money?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, let me just explain. It is free money. So this money that you do get, if you get it, this money that you do get will not be taxable. You do not have to write it off. There's no tricks, or I read this 888-page bill. There is no tricks. This will be free money. The only problem I see with it is there's going to be a lot of people that can't benefit from this. And one of the main people is obviously we heard people that owe anybody that owes child support. Now, the reason I have an issue with the child support thing is, of course, we all know that there is men and women out there that do not pay and have not taken care of their child. So they have years behind on child support. I'm not caring about those people. I'm caring about the people that are back on their child support right now because they haven't worked in weeks because of this pandemic. So what happens to them that they owe child support because they haven't worked? Now they don't get this check.
So are they going to determine who owes child support based on when the check arrives, or in February before everything started to shut down?
So how child support works is you have to pay monthly or weekly or whatever. So if somebody's 2 weeks behind, you automatically are in their system as being past due. So anybody that's in the past due system, they will not get a check. Or they will have to pay whatever's past due, and then they get the rest.
So what is the amount? Explain the amounts for us and what your income level has to be for, because I think that the interesting conversations that I have observed online was people who are like, oh, this is just for people who are poor, people who are on assistance, people like, and I've even heard arguments, oh, people who make more than $75,000, you should just give your check to people who make less than you. Like, I mean, I've heard the gamut. It's really interesting when you start actually reading the comments underneath people's posts. So
people that make $75,000 and more, people don't understand. You know, we have bills too, so we're living at a $75,000 a year, budget. Right. So everybody is feeling this, and there is a budget on this for a single person that files single. Or married filing separate, their income can only be up to $75,000. After $75,000, it starts dropping $5 for every 100.
So how much is someone who's single or married filing separate going to, what is their check going to be if they qualify?
So if they qualify, it all depends on it depends on how many kids you file as well. So if you have 3 children, but here's the trick, they have to be 16 and under. So if you have 3 children, 16 and under, that would add $1,500. So that person would get $2,900.
Okay, so the base check is how much?
$1,200 for an adult.
And then and then for every child, you get an additional $500. So
only
the question that comes to my mind is, so does the 17-year-old and the 18-year-old get their own check?
No, they don't.
Wow.
So let me tell you, so this is going to, so the 17 and 18-year-olds, they're out. Right? They're out. They're not getting anything because most of us parents claim our 17 and 18-year-olds. So they're not getting anything. So the 19 and 24-year-olds that a lot of parents still do claim because they're college students, they're also not going to get anything either. So if you have a college student that you don't claim, that's 19 to 24, they will get their own $1,200 check. But how many college students do you know that their parents don't claim them?
This is very true. So if you have a college student at home, you're not even going to get the $500 added for them?
No.
Okay. All right.
Nope.
So if you make over $75,000 a year, can you expect anything?
I mean, you can. It'll phase out. If you make anything to 75,000 to 999,000, you can expect something.
Okay.
Between $100 to 1,200 plus the kids.
Okay. So people who are making $1 million is not going to get anything, but somebody that makes 800,000 may get something.
No. Anybody 900 and 9,900, not 900. I'm sorry. Okay. So 9,900,000.
Okay. 100,000. So 100,000 is the cutoff
for single people.
Okay. So after 100,000, you get nothing.
Nothing.
And what about married couples filing married?
For head of household, it's 112,000, and I believe the phase out.
Meaning that's the highest amount?
No, that's the lowest. So that's the lowest before they start taking away money.
Okay.
Is 112,000. Okay. And I know for married it's 150,000.
Okay.
I don't know the total phase out for each of those, but I can find out.
And what is the amount of somebody who makes $140,000 a year and they're married?
So that would be 1,200 each person, and then 500 for any kids that they have.
Wait a minute, 1,200 each person. So if it's a married couple, they get 1,200 a piece. So 2,800.
2,400.
2,400.
Yes.
I'm sorry, 2,400. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And so, does this also go to people who are on SSI, people who are on welfare? Are they getting the same stimulus?
So the people on let's talk about the people that are on Social Security, retirement, and disability, and VA assistance. Those people usually get tax forms at the end of the year. It was confusing for a couple days because at first they were saying they didn't need to file because they never need to file. Then the IRS came out 2 days ago saying, no, anybody needs to file a simple return claiming zero income, and that's the only way they get a stimulus. Last night, they came back out and said, no, anybody that gets Social Security does not need to file. You will get a check. Now, here's the issue I find with this. There's a lot of grandparents that are raising children. They're not going to get $500 for their dependents because the IRS is not going to know about them.
So whoever is claiming those children on their tax returns are the people who are going to get the 500.
Exactly. But if nobody's claiming them, because again, people on Social Security don't have to file taxes, and so nobody's going to get the money for them. There's a lot of people that's going to lose out with this stimulus. Of course, a lot of people are going to gain, but there's a lot of people going to lose out as well. As far as the people on SSI, they don't get a tax document, and the people that are on welfare or they don't even have an income, those people, the IRS has kept us up to date saying they don't know how yet, but they're trying to figure out how they can get a check as well. So that's just up in the air right now.
So would they just add it to their monthly kind of like benefits?
They honestly, they haven't even decided how or what. I think they will end up having to file it's called a simple tax return, where it's just a zero income, just so you could give them your information. I think that's what will end up happening. Okay. But those people should not expect a refund at least for a couple more months.
When should we expect a refund in general?
They stated last night, April 17th, they're going to start making deposits.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So April 17th, people should actually expect deposits. And what happens if you don't have a checking account, or because that's what I kept on thinking is like there are so many people who are underbanked that may not even have a checking account for them to deposit into. What happens with them?
Absolutely. So the IRS is also one of these days. We're waiting because they announced it a few days ago, and of course it takes time. Nobody has ever been through this, and that's one thing that I stress all the time, especially to people in my tax group. The IRS has never been through this. We have never been through this. The government's never been through this, so we're not prepared for what's going on. So some of this takes time. So the IRS is going to be making a website that people can go to update their account and routing information, or update their address and just ask for a check instead to be mailed.
Okay. So who should be aware of, this is what I have to look out for? Like, how do you know if the IRS has an account on file?
I run a tax group with almost 20,000 people in it, and I told all of them, I don't care if you think for 100% the IRS has your account information, go on this website and update your account information. Because if they send it to a third party bank, or an account that's closed, now you're going to wait 4 months to get a check. So it's only going to take you about 5 minutes to go on this website when they create it, to give your account and routing number. Just do it.
So how do people find that website once it's created? What terms should they Google? I know people are going to have to go Google it, but what terms should they Google?
It will be on irs.gov.
It will. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Don't Google it. I don't suggest that, because just like everything else, even now there's already scams coming out where people are mailing checks to people. And so don't go on any other website, or don't put your account number into anything besides irs.org.
That's good. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, New Haven's home for community radio. This is Mornings with Mubarakah, and I am talking to tax preparer Christina Elliot, who is giving us the 411 on the tax stimulus and how it's going to affect us and when we're going to get it. So when people are trying to determine if they are going to get anything, will the fact that you owe back taxes affect you at all?
No. So nothing affects your stimulus check except for child support at this moment.
Really?
Yeah. So not student loans, not owing the IRS, nothing except for child support.
Okay. All right. When people, let's talk about filing taxes for this year. The date has been extended. What does that mean that it's been extended out?
So first, let me tell you, the April 14th date is only for people that when you're going to file taxes, you're going to owe money. So that's what that date is for. Anybody else that knows if they file, they're going to get a refund back, they can file all the way till November, October. They don't really have a cutoff date. They won't get penalized or anything like that. So the date for the April 15th is usually for like businesses and people that make a lot of money that end up paying the IRS, even though they put thousands of dollars for taxes. So that's what that date is. Even though they extended it till July 15th, I definitely suggest you obviously file as soon as you can, so you can figure out how much you do owe, so you can start making that payment.
What are some of the main things that you think that people need to be aware of when they are anticipating this stimulus?
Just to look out for scams. That would be the main thing. Just pay attention to scams. I think even though they announced that the date is going to be in April 17th, it's still not written in stone. So just pay attention to reliable websites. There's a lot of fake websites out here, and We all know that saying one thing can lead to just everybody thinking it's the truth.
Right.
I do want to speak on the fact that, this stimulus check, to me, it kind of feels like they were just like, oh, here's some money. And everybody was like, yay, you're going to help us, and we know as far as Connecticut, $1,200 won't even pay somebody's rent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where the big money is going to be is the unemployment. That's going to be the big money.
What do you mean?
So with the unemployment, Connecticut was approved for a FEMA disaster area because we're so little and we have so many cases. We're like number 13 in the United States.
Wow.
For cases. And so what that means is that people that own businesses that are self-employed, that file that business on their tax return, you can now file for unemployment. On top of that, the regular unemployment that you get, they will be adding $600 a week on top of that.
Okay, so wait a minute. You take me back to that. If you own a business, and say that again.
So if you own a business, so a lot of people say that they're self-employed. They say they work for themselves. This is where filing your taxes is going to be important, because if you don't file your taxes, if you already filed in 2019 or you filed in 2018, if you don't have proof on your tax return that you own a business, you will not be eligible for this self-employment unemployment.
Oh, really? So you can go to the unemployment office and you can say, I own a business and my business was affected, so I would like to get unemployment.
Correct.
And they've never done that before, correct?
Never.
Wow, okay. And what is the amount of unemployment going to be based on? If you own a business?
It would be based on, they would kind of calculate your yearly AGI and calculate it kind of into like how much you would get weekly, basically.
Okay. All right.
And then add $600 on top of that.
Okay. So what is the average unemployment benefit in Connecticut? Do you know?
$649 is the most you can get.
Okay, so they're basically going to give $1,200. So question, if you are getting unemployment and are you still going to get a stimulus check, or you don't get a stimulus check because you're getting so you will get your unemployment and your stimulus?
Correct. This is on top of it.
And when you get the unemployment, is that a one-time extra $600, or is it a $600 every time they give you a check?
It's every week, and it's until I think their date is June 30th. So if you're on unemployment anytime up till June 30th, you will get it every single week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So whatever your unemployment is plus $600, you'll get that every week. So
Correct.
That's where so it sounds like it's almost like they're encourage people to apply for unemployment, because you will get much more money than just a stimulus.
Absolutely. And the problem is there's a lot of governors. So I know other people in other states listen to this. So I just want to just advise them that not every governor is accepting this help from the federal government.
Really?
So not every unemployment will be doing this. And their reasoning is this is going to make, quote unquote, people lazy. That's their reasoning. That people are not going to want to go back when they open up the economy to look for jobs because they're making, all this money a week already.
Is there, when people are on unemployment, there's no requirement for them to do community service or look for a job or anything like that? It's you just get straight unemployment?
Well, you are supposed to look for a job. Right now, Governor Lamont had froze that. He stopped that because obviously we can't go out.
Right.
So right now there is no qualification. You just get money at this point. So to me, I think that's going to be a bigger help to the economy than this $1,200 stimulus check. That's going to help us. I can think of 100 people right now how it would help them getting this extra $600 a week.
So my next question is, talk to me a little bit about what they're offering for businesses. Like, is there loans in this, grants,
Yes.
or?
So there is loan and grant. So there's a PPP loan, which you can get up to God knows how much, like millions of dollars or something. And then there's a EIDL loan. So with both of these, first of all, you have to have 500 or less employees. So it could be anywhere from 0 to 500 employees. Again, you do have to have proof as far as filing, a business on your taxes. Okay. So that's the first thing. Second thing, especially for, people that do not deal with interest and stuff like that for a loan, as long as you get approved for this and you are paying your employees, your mortgage for the building, for your business building, your utilities for your business building, or your rent for the building, as long as you are paying one of those or all of those, you do not have to pay this back.
Really?
Money back. So the EIDL loan is literally takes you about 3 minutes to fill out, basic information. I filled mine out like a couple of days ago. And that is like, they said they were going to give us $10,000 up front before we have to do the big loan, because the PPP loan is a long process. It's not an easy thing. It's like getting a mortgage. They really have to make sure that you're really a business owner, because there's so many people that say that they, do self-employment just to get a tax refund. So you kind of have to prove this.
Right.
But this loan is basically, the short one is basically like, here's 10,000, within a couple days. Same thing. If you don't have to, if you pay your employees, if you're paying your mortgage, if you're paying your rent, this will turn into a grant that you don't have to pay back.
So the 10,000 will turn into a grant, but the bigger loan, which could be into the millions, it doesn't turn into a grant.
It can.
And that can too.
Yes. The part that you will be using to pay your employees and stuff like that, you don't have to pay that back.
Now, do you have to, is there a process at the end of the loan period or whatever period they're giving you where you have to prove where you spent the money?
Yes, you will have to be working with your bank, your business bank, or an underwriter. And I highly suggest you definitely keep great records on where this money went that you got.
So 2 questions about that. Is there any credit score required for those loans? And what is the interest rate if you do get to a point where you have to pay it back?
So that I'm not too familiar. I actually have a webinar that I'm supposed to be watching later. So as far as the interest rates and stuff like that, I do not know how that's going to work. I do know that you just asked something else and I had it on top of my tongue. All right, you asked about the interest and you asked about, what was the other one?
I asked about the interest rate, and then I asked, is it going to be based on your credit score?
So the credit. So the 10,000 is not going to be based on credit. I know the bigger loan, it does say something about putting down like some kind of liquidity, depending on if you wanted more than a certain amount.
Okay.
They will ask for some kind of asset for you to give them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But not for, so the smaller loan for small businesses is simple to fill out. You just need to have proof that you've been filing as a business, and
Correct.
it's 10,000. Now, is 10,000 just the max, or you can ask for any amount?
You can ask for less. It's the max, though.
Okay, so 10,000 is the max. And then what is the time period that they're going to determine whether or not it's a grant? So at what point does it become a grant? Like, is there a time period?
They have not announced that either. So again, this is just something that they came up with this phase 3 stimulus bill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the government approved it. Now somebody has to sit down and do the small little details, like how is this going to work and that going to work. But if you go on SBA.gov, that's the Small Business Association.gov. You can definitely get more information about that. I know Connecticut as well, on top of those two for the federal, I know Connecticut as well on CT.gov has their own loan that you can apply for as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From the state of Connecticut or SBA?
From the state.
From the state.
From the state.
All right.
Yep.
Can you give us some of the things that is going to help people financially? I know that there's been like certain mortgage companies that allow you to delay or phone bills or things like that. And so how do people so I have a couple questions. What are some of the things that people can look at as far as that's offering delays or waivers? And does that mean that they are just forgiving that month, or you're going, when you have to pay back, you're going to now owe 2 months? How does that work?
So I'm so scared of this, and I've been screaming this all over social media. Although they're telling people, hey, we're going to give you 90 days of no rent, or, 90 days, you don't have to pay your rent, or you won't be evicted, 90 days mortgage. Some of the utility companies are giving you payment arrangements, or that you don't have to pay till April or May. I'm so scared of this because this does not mean that you just don't have to pay your rent or your bills. This means that after that 90 days that the government froze evictions or shutoffs, after that 90 days, they can shut everybody off. They can evict everybody, So it's so scary at this moment in time because not everybody has a good heart. And where are people going to get the money from? That's the thing that it's like, they're not working. Where's this money going to come from to pay these bills and to pay rent? So it's a scary time right now. It honestly is. I do know that last night, under the president, I can never pronounce his name, but the Munchkin guy,
Dr. Fauci?
Yeah, him. So he announced that when they re-announced that the Social Security people will not have to pay, file taxes, he also announced that he's already starting to work on phase 4 to see about getting middle to upper class people more money, another stimulus check, because they know this, what they did. Yes, it's $2 trillion. It's the biggest stimulus they ever did. Yes, I agree. But, if you look at the bill itself, there is so many things in there they didn't have to do. That wasn't an emergency. Giving $200 billion for abortions, that's not an emergency.
That's inside of the bill as well?
Yes. I mean, it's just, if you look in the bill of what is actually in there, it's just like, why is this in here? This, I can understand helping the airlines out. I can understand that. But help the people out. If they gave it to us, all we're going to do is turn around and give it to the businesses. It's not like we're going to keep it and hide it under our mattress. We're going to spend it.
Now, does this bill do things like bail out the airlines and the bigger companies?
Not the bigger companies. There is something in there for the airlines, for them to get bailed out. Yes, there is. Not big companies. A lot of people say it's a lot of big corporations. It's not. The only companies it helps is those companies that have 500 or less employees, and that's for that, SBA loan. That's it.
So it sounds like I think that they call it fattening the bill. They fattened the bill with things that they wanted in order to get it passed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So they added stuff that they wanted, that they've been wanting to do, but they just threw it in there and then told the people how they're just giving us this check. So we're just like, yay, we get a check, you know, and not knowing that, you know, there is a lot of things that they did put in there that's going to help lower class people, you know, the preschool, you know, the care for kids, things like that.
So explain that. What did they put in there for preschool and care for kids?
So they gave that organization $1 billion,
really,
you know, to help, you know, so they won't be shut down too when the economy gets back. So there is things in there that definitely will help, you know, lower class and keep these programs alive that people are going to need once this is over with. But I mean, there are states out there that are giving people food stamps that never qualified. They're not even going by income. Connecticut has not done that yet.
Really?
But I know there are people that need it. It's for anybody that have school-age kids.
So some states are just
my kids. They're just getting me out of house at home.
Yes. And I got young adults, and they 19 and 21, and we're like, hold up, put that back.
Put a lock on the fridge.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is not cool.
we made a whole list of rules. Nobody can cook after 9 p.m.
Oh man, we just did a Monopoly thing. So they get Monopoly money for doing chores, and they have to pay me to get some snacks. Like, oh no, you're not just eating my snacks all day.
At least you get your house cleaned in the process.
We gotta have a bargain chip over here. We can't leave nowhere. But it's a mess. I feel so bad, and I don't even know if we're ever, as an economy, gonna get back from this. Like, I'm scared to think in a couple months, in a couple more weeks, what is this gonna do to our economy? Like, I'm really scared about that. To me, that's more scary than this virus, because it's like, I know so many people that have small businesses, you know, my friends, they own barber shops or beauty shops or, you know, other tax offices. And it's like, what are they going to do? I mean, they're losing so much money. Gyms, you know, your gym is closed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are people that are already living because they had a budget. And now it's like, okay, wait a minute. My savings account is starting to, you know, get a little short there.
But you know, the sad part about it is that statistically 80% of Americans don't even have $1,000 in savings. So you're talking about most people are actually living paycheck to paycheck. They don't even have a savings to go on. You know, when they first started recommending that we stay at home, one of the recommendations that they kept repeating was go shopping, get food for a month. And I told my husband, I was like, how many people even have enough money to buy food for an entire month? Like, I don't understand how they are making this as a recommendation. Well, apparently some people did, because the shelves were empty.
Are gone. They're still gone. I was just thinking the same thing. Where's all these people getting all this money from to get all this soap and toilet paper and everything else? I don't know. It's crazy. They just disappeared.
I know. I know. It's crazy.
And you can't even buy it on Amazon. That's my favorite place to go.
I know. Everything is sold out. It's not delivered until May 7th. I'm like, what am I going to do to May 7th?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got the non-Muslims that I know buying the things for the toilet.
The bidets. The bidet. We got to introduce them to. We got to introduce them to Essential Bottle. It's much cheaper. So
they should learn.
So as we are coming towards the end of the show, can you tell people, give kind of like one bit of advice that you think that most people can benefit from, and then tell people how to get in touch with you if they want more advice, if they need some help with their finances or their taxes? So what thought would you leave us with?
The thought I would leave you with is, when you get this stimulus, save it. don't spend it. Try to save it as much as you can. Don't go spend it on frivolous things, because you're going to need it, and we don't know if we're going to get any more help. So definitely save what you can. Also, I do have a tax. I have a Facebook group that I give free advice all the time. I'm always helping people. It's called Tax Refund Craziness on Facebook. And everybody kind of asks about everything in there. I don't know why they think I know everything, but if I don't know something, I kind of research it to help them anyways, because I just love helping people. And I also have my business Facebook page, which is BEM Financial Services as well, that you can always go and ask me a question anytime, and I'm there. I kind of never sleep anymore, so.
Well, I want to thank you for clearing up so much stuff. I think that this is going to be really helpful for people who have been confused as to whether or not they're going to get money, if they should anticipate it, or if they should not. Also, I think it's really going to be helpful. Thank you.
I hope so. Thank you so much again for inviting me, and hopefully, inshallah, we can see each other soon.
Yes. And tell me, do you have a website or another way for people who are not on Facebook to get in touch with you?
They can always email me. I do not have a website.
What is your email address?
It's BEM Financial Services at Gmail. So it's just my business name at gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening. You've been listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, New Haven's home for community radio. This has been Mornings with Mubarakah, and you can listen every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. here on Facebook, on the radio, on Periscope. Until next week, go about your week to be a voice and not an echo.